No public comments.
Okay, so let's go and start with the regular items on our agenda. Item number one, presentation, discussion of Brownsville Public Utilities Board's financial performance report for the period ending July 31st, 2025.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. So my name is Mike Perez. I'm the Chief Financial Officer, and I'll be going over the financial performance report as of July 31st. Here we've got an executive summary which focuses on 7 categories. Each of them has their own gauge meter, red representing poor, yellow average, and green is good. So based on our flow of funds, year to date, we've generated $5.5 million to replenish the improvement fund. Our debt service coverage is at 2.38 times, which is well above the 1.25 times minimum requirement, so we're doing good. The fuel purchase and energy charge has generated an over recovery of $23.72 million as of July 31st, and this will be used to offset some future market uncertainty. So for 11 months straight through August, that rate was set at 0.05019 cents. The Risk Oversight Committee met yesterday, and we did lower that rate for the month of September, 10%. The rate now being at 0.04517. So that's going to provide some additional relief to our customers' bills. The City of Brownsville cash transfer is higher than budgeted, and that's due to lower COB utility usage, but primarily the main reason is the FPEC rate, because that low FPEC rate compared to the rate that we had last year has increased their cash transfer. Personal, non-personal expenses, those came in lower than budgeted by about $3.6 million, and primarily due to some timing issues. BPUB, so we're doing good. BPUB's average bill, again, is lower than both the average MOU bill and the average IOU bill for the 1,000 kWh residential user. That average is at $111.26 for PUB, and it will be going down for September an additional $6+. So we're doing good. The CIP year-to-date actuals, we're at a 54.5% completion rate at the end of July. I do want to report that 100% of the remaining balance to get us to the $76 million total approved plan has already been committed. So there's an open PO. Work is it's infant stages, so it's all been committed. So we're doing good. We have it as good and not as well. We have it as average, not as good. The reason being because we've only spent 54%, whereas we're already 10 months into the year. And all key financial.
We expect that other 46% to be spent by the end of the year, or?
No.
Okay.
There's some additional slides further down. I can scroll real quick. And so here's where we're currently at the 41.4 million spent, which is the 54%. We anticipate or project to spend about 56.2 million of the $76 million budget. So we won't be at 100%, but a lot higher than we've been in the past years. Okay. So here we've got a condensed statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in net position, and this is in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. I'm just going to focus on the July 25 year-to-date numbers. So starting off with operating revenues of $190,785,000. We back out operating expenses of $163,296,000 and end up with operating income of $27,488,000. We then back out the non-operating expenses, non-operating expenses of $14,499,000 and end up with an income before capital contributions of $12,988,000. We add in capital contributions of $14,742,000 year to date, and we end up with an increase year to date through July in net position of $27,731,000. Adding that to the net position at the beginning of the fiscal year, we end up with a net position at the end of the period of $502,867,000. Here we have the condensed summary of revenues and expenses, and this is based on the flow of funds in accordance with the bond ordinance. And I'll be focusing again just on the July 2025 year-to-date actuals. So operating revenues, $181,323,000. Other revenues, $21,470,000. So our gross revenues year-to-date, $202,793,000. We back out the fuel and the Southwest Regional Water Authority contributions, totaling $63,449,000, and we end up with an adjusted gross revenues of $139,344,000. This is the basis for the city's 10% transfer calculation. Line 6, we back out the other requirements. This is all the O&M, the non-operating and debt service of $106,097,000, and we end up with a balance available for after requirements of $33,246,000. Now we back out the total cash utility benefit. This is a 10% of the adjusted gross, representing $13,934,000, and we end up with a balance available for transfers out or BPB uses of $19,312,000. That $19 million was used to fund our CIP and other reserve accounts, totaling $13,777,000 year to date, leaving a balance to replenish the improvement fund of $5.5 million. Here again, our debt service coverage ratio is at 2.38 times. That concludes my presentation. There's a lot more information that's presented in your binder. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions? Any questions? None? Okay, thank you, Mike. Item number 2, presentation discussion on updates to the Brownsville Public Utilities Board's Utility Financial Reserve Policy.
Let me get to that presentation real quick. Okay, so here we are. So, yeah, good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. So, there we go. So this past year, in November, the financial reserve policy was developed and approved by the board, and it became effective November 14th, 2024. The primary, our policy statement is that in order to maintain stable rates and provide reliable service, BPUB must maintain appropriate financial reserves which can absorb short-term financial variability resulted from unexpected operating results or can reduce the need for debt issuance. So without these reserves, any unforeseen emergency expenditures can deplete BPUB's operating funds, thus hindering BPUB's ability to pay for its ongoing daily operations. So this reserve practice is looked upon favorably by the rating agencies and can have a positive effect on BPUB's bond rating. These reserves also offset some significant economic declines or revenue shortfalls and demonstrates a commitment to long-term financial planning objectives. And so the policy identifies 6 different reserves, 4 of which are required by bond covenants. Those 4 are the operating reserve. This is to meet the day-to-day O&M expenses. We require at least 60 days minimum of budgeted O&M. We currently have $17 million, which is sufficient to cover that 60% minimum. Our senior lien reserve requires a balance of $17,191,000. We currently have $16,458,000 in cash, but we also have some surety policies that covers the difference. The surety policies added to the cash, we're significantly above the $17 million requirement, so we're okay. The junior lien reserve, that one requires $112,000 balance. We have $116,000 anticipated at the end of the year. Again, we're doing well. And the capital reserve requires a $15 million balance as per the bond ordinance, and we got a little bit slightly over that available. So, though we're in compliance. Now, we did establish some 2 new reserves this past year. One of them was a decommissioning reserve. And, this is to fund or to have adequate funding for decommissioning power generation plants like our Salis Rey and Hidalgo plants. We project a balance of $2 million at the end of this fiscal year, which was budgeted and approved by the board past year. So we're going to continue that annual contribution, and so we've set it at $2 million, and it's included in the fiscal year 26 budget. Our target level is with a minimum of $10 million, with the initial funding coming again from the net revenues of the system and funded within 5 years, so $2 million per year. The funding level for fiscal year 26 will remain the same, or we propose to keep it the same. And then we have the power supply stabilization reserve. This is to mitigate fluctuations in the net power supply cost, and it ensures funding of the must-pay bills in a volatile energy market. So these are the bills that ERCOT sends us. Those are due within 30 days, regardless of when we collect it from the customer, right? Those bills have to be paid. Funding We want to fund this within, for 90 days net of power supply cost. The projected balance at the end of this fiscal year will be $2.2 million, with an additional $2.2 million budgeted in fiscal year '26. So the cost for the power supply are mirror pretty close to what we had last year. They're slightly a little bit above, but we do want to keep the contribution level, so we left it at $2.2 million. The target level here for the 90 days is at $22 million. The initial funding comes from net revenues of the system. We anticipate funding this over the next 10 years, and the funds spent will be replenished from the fuel purchase and energy charge collections. As part of the annual budgeting process, we review an updated financial reserve policy. So attached, you will find a red line copy of the updated policy. The changes were very minimal. We did some formatting, and we updated the reserve funding levels, including to include an additional column for the fiscal year '25 projected reserve balances. So the fiscal year '26 proposed contributions to both of these reserves are going to remain the same, $2 million and $2.2 million. So here's the policy implementation timeline. We updated the policy in August. Today, we're presenting the financial reserve policy to the Finance Committee for discussion. We anticipate taking this to the full board on Monday, September the 8th, for final approval, and then we implement effective October the 1st. Do y'all have any questions?
No. Any questions? Good job on the reserves.
Okay. Are we okay to include this under consent?
I think so, yes.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 3, presentation and discussion on Brownsville Public Utilities Board excess umbrella liability insurance renewal.
Good afternoon, Committee Chair, members of the board. My name is Estrella Solórzano, and I am the Director of Customer and Support Services for BPUB. And I oversee the functions of the Risk Insurance Management Department. So this afternoon, I will be presenting to you the following 4 items. They are our BPUB's insurance or liability insurance renewals. And on the line today, we have Teresa O'Brien, Area Vice President for Gallagher Risk Management Services, LLC. We also refer to them as AJG, just as a shortcut. She is our Property and Casualty Insurance Consultant, Area Vice President, and she will be assisting with any questions. She also assisted by conducting a review and analysis of each one of these renewals. So the first item that I am going to be presenting today is the excess and umbrella liability insurance. On September 9th, 2024, the BPUB board did approve a 3-year period for renewal with the board authorization. We did select Hub International as the broker. So we did begin this renewal by requesting a renewal quote from Hub International. They did submit a renewal quote, which has been reviewed by AJG. They are recommending this renewal. The renewal is with Aegis. They are their insurance carrier. This renewal would be the second year of a 3-year period with the board's approval. I do want to note that the renewals vary every year because risk varies every year. So the renewal amounts will vary, which is why we come to the board on a yearly basis with the amount based on what is presented. The renewal does include a 10% increase. This is an increase that Aegis has done across the board, just based on the potential exposures in the state of Texas. So normally, we actually budget for a 15% increase on the renewals on a year-to-year basis. So we are recommending this renewal, and I am requesting, if no further questions from the board, approval to present this item to the full board on September 8th under the consent agenda. I don't know if I mentioned the total. The total for this renewal is $727,369.15.
Yeah, I guess from budget to to actual, there's just a 5%, but it's not really a huge number. I was just curious if that was going to change anything that we had reviewed for the budget.
No, we try really hard to bring these renewals to the board prior to the September board meeting because that puts us very close to the expiration. However, because risk is managed on a month-to-month and anything can change date-to-date, it's very hard to do that. But we communicate with our budgeting team that's working on the budget for the also October 1st presentation to the board to let them know what we anticipate. Even though we calculate at 15%, some are lower, some are higher, just depending on what we get. So we've been in very close communication with our finance team to let them know what these look like. So we should be okay.
Question?
Yes, they're included in the fiscal year 26 budget.
Okay. No.
No question.
Let me ask a question.
Yes, sir.
Did any of the coverages change under this policy?
No, sir.
So as to say this, and did we have any claims last year under this policy?
For any claim-related questions, I would prefer to handle that with the permission of our legal team or our legal counsel in closed session, just because those are different. But if we would like to discuss any claims or you would like a loss exposure sheet, I can forward that to the board separately, if that's okay.
Okay,
That wouldn't hurt, actually.
okay. All right. Thank you.
No problem.
And then we have the next item, item number 5, or excuse me, item number 4, presentation and discussion on Brownsville Public Utilities Board of Directors and Officers and Employment Practices Liability Insurance Renewal.
This is the second item, like you mentioned, sir. I am presenting the Directors and Officers and Employment Practices Liability Renewal. Just like the excess liability, this item was approved for a 3-year period with Broker Hub International on September 9, 2024. They did provide a renewal quote. This one does include a 2% decrease in premium. This is for the decrease represents a $1,952 decrease with a renewal premium of $105,020.06. This item also expires on October 1st. The coverages remain the same.
Okay.
I am also requesting if we can take this item to the full board on September 8th under the consent agenda.
Sure.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. If there's no questions, we'll move on to the next item. Item number 5, presentation, discussion on Brownsville Public Utilities Board General Liability, Automotive, Cyber, Mobile Equipment, Crimes, and Excess Workers' Compensation Insurance Renewals.
So staff initiated this renewal by requesting a renewal quote from Texas Municipal League Intergovernmental Risk Pool. It is a different insurance carrier that provides us with liability insurance for the specific insurances that are listed on the presentation. This renewal did increase by 33.36% in premium. The increase is based on a TML board-approved 17% across the board. It also has to do with cost of claims. So the cost of claims have increased. We are seeing a big increase on this item. The total cost of this renewal is $529,751. Specifically, the highest one is under auto. Our utility does have a lot of autos in the field. Our risk exposure is higher. We also increase our fleet on a yearly basis, right? So that also contributes to that. I do want to mention in regards to these particular insurances, because BPUB purchases auto and mobile equipment, they remove and they add vehicles throughout the year. So we actually receive individual invoices for the cost of adding and deleting vehicles. We might get a decrease in premium throughout the year based on the overall risk of having a new vehicle outside in the field. So we do get those, and that's why it might vary, right? For example, if I add a utility truck, it might increase by $400 for that particular month. So I do want to mention that because throughout the new budget year, we might purchase new vehicles, new equipment. So we get those bills and we evaluate them and review them on a monthly basis. If it doesn't have that high of a risk, then sometimes we don't get any additional premium that's attached to that. The same thing is with workman's compensation. As our payroll increases, as our employees increase in regards to the utility, there might be a change that we actually have to submit to the carrier, and that comes with additional premium. So I do want to mention that because this is what we present based on what we have today, but as the utility grows and changes, there might be changes throughout the year that I do need to communicate to you all. I also need to mention that under cyber liability, BPUB purchases a standalone cyber policy, which is the next item on the agenda that I will be presenting to you. If BPUB purchases a standalone policy based on new guidelines from TML, the TML cyber policy will automatically cancel. But we have a broadened or a broader coverage through a standalone policy. That's why there's individual policies for that. That's my next item. So we are not going to be renewing based on whatever happens on the next item, correct? So, and again, this cyber policy is just as a safeguard because it's a non-expensive policy that we've carried throughout the years. And that's what I did want to mention. This one also expires on October 1st. Just as an FYI, this one does not go through competitive process because they are not a regular insurance company. They are a risk pool, so it's a self-insured program, so we're protected by Texas legislature or Texas language. That's been verified. And I'm open to any questions at this point.
Just a really quick question. If we went with the cyber route, which we'll talk on the next item, how much would this drop by, this
It's about
insurance premium?
$2,000.
Oh,
It's a
okay.
very, very affordable policy with limited coverage. It's automatic. We can add it automatic. But the new guidelines, they've changed their guidelines, so it'll automatically cancel. That guideline was not there in the past for TML, it's new. So
And how much was the increase again?
the increase was 33.94%. I'll give you the exacts. Give me 1 second, sir. It's a high. So just to give you a little bit of an example, right? Personally, on a homeowner policy for me that had a claim, one claim, throughout the life of my policy, my insurance policy went up by 100%. My personal homeowner insurance with one claim. Again, the risk of a utility is higher, the amount of units is higher, and it increases, plus the cost of claims is higher. That's just, unfortunately, the current market. That's where we're at.
So, yeah, that 34%, what is that number in actual numbers?
I can give you that. 1 second. Okay. So last year's overall was $397,222. This year is $532,001, which is $134,799 increase in premium.
It's all in the autos.
All in the autos.
And how much of that is because we have, the automobiles are like brand new and require more coverage?
To be honest, it has to do with claim exposure, with the loss exposure, with the cost of claims
Oh,
for the
it's
utility.
More driven by that?
That's what it's driven by, more than by the amount of vehicles or the value of our overall fleet. It has to do with claims and the value of, or the expenses on claims. But again, if we need specifics on that, I can provide a loss history to you all, or we can move into closed session with the authority for legal counsel.
No, I don't think we need to have a closed session on that. We just wanted to know how much of it was because of values versus.
It's
just
claims.
It's all claims?
It's claims.
Okay.
We are looking into that. I also oversee our safety and security department. So we are already looking into that, just as an FYI. So we're on it.
Okay, I was actually going to ask about that exact item. I know when I was in energy, the biggest risk we had were people on the road as well. And so it's worth digging into.
Correct. Even just in the area that we live in, that's also a risk.
Yeah, I've seen Al drive.
Sorry?
Bad
It's a
joke.
lot of money.
Yeah.
And there's
Drive
nothing-
far away
when
from
we looked
Dr.
at
Holman.
that, there was not any adjustments we could do to the auto section of the policy to minimize the increase?
So I don't recommend any adjustments at this point. The BPUB self-insures for damages to our own autos. We carry liability for damages to others, so it's third party, for bodily injury or property damages as a result of a motor vehicle accident under auto. So I don't recommend any changes at this point in regards to that. The only change it could be in regards to retentions for the mobile equipment, so there's other areas, but under auto, because it's liability only, it's a third-party coverage, we really can't make any changes.
Okay.
What we could do is go out for RFP in the coming years just to get some comparisons, right? But TML is a common insurance for utilities, municipalities, cities, so I mean, for the city of Brownsville and stuff like that. So we can do that just to take a look at what's available for the upcoming years, and that would be the recommendation and a discussion that we are having with our consultant.
I mean, I don't think it would hurt. You're
Correct.
right, you probably won't beat TML, but at least we have that information.
But at least I can present you with those options, which we haven't because of this Texas statute.
Okay. Okay, this will be under a consent agenda item as well, correct?
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
Is that correct? Okay. All right, so we have our last item here. Presentation discussion on the request for proposals for Brownsville Public Utilities Board cyber liability insurance.
This is the fourth and final item that I'll be presenting today for cyber liability insurance. The request for proposals process started with an invitation to submit proposals. The advertisement ran on January 21st and January 28th. There were two proposals that were submitted, there were two vendors submitted a total of 6 proposals. Our incumbent vendor submitted 4 different proposals that were analyzed and reviewed by both staff and our consultant. A new vendor, Marsh USA, which is also the current broker that we have for our property insurance that we procure in the month of March and April, they submitted 2 options for renewal. Out of the 6 options that we reviewed, we are recommending the new vendor with the insurance carrier Mosaic. Give me 1 second to provide you with the exact name. Mosaic Americans Insurance Services, because they do provide larger amount of coverage at a 50% lower premium for a total of $73,395. So we will actually be looking at an $85,000 and change reduction in premium for this particular item. For the board, I did provide you with the comparisons as well as the proposals that were submitted. Those were separate from these presentations just because of security reasons for these type of policy. Any questions that you may have, I would again request that we move into closed session. But we are recommending the new vendor, Marsh USA, with a new insurance company at a higher coverage at a lower premium. Also requesting authorization to move under consent for the September 8th board meeting.
Yeah. Anybody have a question?
I think that's fine. I think it might be good because I'm probably the only person who has been briefed on any of our cyber efforts and concerns. It might be good to brief the board in closed on some of this.
We'll be happy to bring an item in closed session, and I'll discuss to see when we would be ready to do that, so the rest of the board can be our efforts and the things that we do for do that involve the various different departments involved with that.
I believe that's separate from the insurance, though.
Yeah,
Yes.
separate from the
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'd like to ask some questions about this one, but I think it's probably better in closed session.
If we can do that, we can leave it up to legal. If we can go back and we can discuss in generalities our cyber program.
Okay.
Are we able to come into
I guess
closed?
I'm okay with it. I just do it one-on-one,
Okay.
okay? Because I
We'll
don't
do
think
that.
we have it on the agenda for closed session.
Yeah.
We have nothing-
And we can schedule to meet with you as well, sir, with the authority of our general manager, just to brief you specifically on what you have questions on.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Anything else?
For the committee's indulgence, the option to go into executive session is reserved on your agenda for any of the reasons that might come up under the act. Some of them are specified here. The particulars that we're sensitive to are cybersecurity measures and protections, if that's what the nature of the inquiry is. If it's as to the general procedure under which the proposals were issued or the proposals.
Yeah, my question, I think, I just wanted to ask about specific coverages, but I'm almost afraid to talk about those because once you know what the coverages are, then all of a sudden we can start getting a bunch of attacks.
And I just for clarification, as part of your packet, separate what's public in this presentation, you do have a comparison list with a list of those coverages. But it's an Excel spreadsheet, and I can present to you. I also have it ready for you if I need to present that to you
I think
separately.
we're okay with submitting this. I'll just follow up individually.
For anybody listening, that coverage is really just $5, so make decisions based off that.
Okay. That's all that we have on our agenda.
So to clarify, would you like this to be under individual consideration or consent? Or do we want to wait consent as well? Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, that's all I have.
Very good. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll move to adjourn.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Stand adjourned. Thank you.